Rosemary, you are always talking about the Academy of Light. I'm sure we would all love to hear about the many stories of your amazing life. Would you do that for us?
Oh, look, that would be delightful. I would love to. First of all, I'm a psychic, and being a psychic gives you many talents, but one of the ones that I love best is being a medium. And just to give you an example, my husband took me to a farm stay cabin down in Tasmania, and as was the custom of the manageress, she brought in this loaf of bread to greet us. And so she knocked at the door, I opened it, she introduced herself, handed me the loaf of bread, and I said, I'm Rosemary Butterworth and I'm a medium, because I saw behind her was her dead son. So as soon as my husband heard the words, I'm a medium, he gets very embarrassed and pipes up with the words, hello there, I'm an extra large. So it's always in very funny situations. But would you like me to share the story of meeting Archangel Michael and how I met Michael? And yeah, that's probably my favourite story. Well, one day after leaving a meditation with a group of friends, the 16-year-old daughter of my friend came to me and handed me a little note. And I opened it, and on the note said, Mother Mary wants you to meet Mother Mary said, would you meet the Archangel Michael in the rainforest in a tropical island? So I did what any sane person would do. I went straight to work and applied for a week's leave, because I was not going to miss out on this opportunity. And I believed every word that she'd written down there, of course. And then I went to the travel agents and booked my flight to Hana, Maui, because I thought that was the only tropical island that was nearby and probably the least expensive to get to from Australia. So I drew every penny out of the bank and worked out the date. Now, what date would it be? Well, we were all into Ascension at that time. This is about 1992, 93. And so Ascension Day for the world was the 20th of May. So I booked the flight for the 18th of May, go to the Big Island, and then fly over to Hana the next day. So all went well. Oh, I mustn't forget to tell you, because I thought I might ascend while I was over in Hana, I left a note for my son that he could have my car if I didn't come back. So I was already prepared to ascend, if you like. So off I went to Hana, and I went to a Big Island first. And while I was there, I stayed there the 18th, so it was the morning of the 19th, there was a knock at the door. And I opened the door, and there was the porter. And the porter was standing there, and he had a beautiful lei in his hand. And I said, oh, what a lovely custom this is. Thank you very much. He said, no, you don't understand. I saw you arrive yesterday, and I went home, and I've made this lei for you out of the flowers in my own garden. So that was very, very wonderful. He put it around my neck, and I didn't even let him take the bags. I just shut the door and burst into tears. I got to Hana, Maui, and they took me around to my little cabin, and there I stayed the 19th, woke up on the 20th, and thought, right, I just knew, very clever, that Michael wouldn't appear on 66 acres of green lawn at Hana, Maui in the Sheraton. So I went walking, and I took with me a little disposable camera, as you do when you're going to meet the Archangel Michael, and a notebook. And I walked and I walked and I walked. And finally I came to a church which was on the low side of the hill, low side of the road. So I could only see virtually from the windows up of the church. And looked over the fence, and the grounds were very, very unkept. So I walked inside because I didn't think anyone was there. It was rather like a disused church. And then I saw fairies. And I thought, oh, this has got to be the place. Walked around the back of the church and found a spot, put a banana leaf down there and sat down there, poised, meditated, very seriously, waiting for Michael to appear. After about 3/4 of an hour, came out of the meditation. No Michael, I hadn't ascended, and I was there, and I was angry. And I said, Archangel Michael, I've spent all this money. Couldn't I have just done this meditation in Sydney without coming here? So I was pretty hungry by then, so I took a banana off the banana tree and off I went walking down the lane out the back of the church. And as I was walking down the lane, I saw a track going into the rainforest. And I froze. This is the place. And I walked down the track. I looked up and I saw cherubims flying. Then the cherubims looked at me and said, she sees us. I felt like my hair was standing on end. I felt every hair on my body was standing on end. I felt it was difficult to breathe. And then I looked down about 50 yards away from me. Michael started to appear. He looked like an apparition. I could see his head. His head seemed to appear first, and the rest of him. My mind was going crazy and was saying things like, you mustn't be negative now, or you won't be able to hold this vibration. So I took a deep breath and I said the only sensible thing that one can say to an archangel, the only question one can ask an archangel, which was, can I take your picture? So I picked up my disposable camera and I took his picture. When it was developed, I showed my children there were just white flashes where the cherubims had been, and this vague impression of a ghost, if you like, or something, where Michael had stood. And they said, yes, right, Mum, yes, right, Mum. Didn't believe a word of it. But meanwhile, back there, after I took his picture, the most wonderful thing happened. He spoke to me and he said, come walk, talk with me. And I took a step forward and then another step forward and another. Then he said to me very clearly, through you many things will come to pass. Which of course probably was the Academy of Light that was going to be developed later on. And then I walked straight into the biggest spider web that I have ever had on me in my life. It covered the entire top of my head. And I was so busy screaming that I lost the vibration, of course, trying to pull off this spider's web as I imagined this great big tropical spider crawling in my hair. And I just cried because Michael was gone, but he'd given me his message. And I was able to go back, find the hotel some way, somehow, where I cried for 4 days. But since then, Archangel Michael has always been the patron of the Southern Cross Academy of Light. He has been with us ever since. Every meeting we hold, every Monday night of the Southern Cross Academy of Light, I call him in first. Every healing I do on one-to-one sessions, I call him Michael. You see, he's my very best friend. Thank you.